I'm the eye hole man. I'm the only one that's allowed to have eye holes. Get up on out of here with my eye holes.
Eye holes. Get them today.
When the tide kisses the shore, hold on to me. When your heart is...
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, your girl, Drea, back at it again with another YouTube video. So, I decided that I was gonna go ahead and do the eye hole man's eye holes.
Okay, so here's the stitch. I'm editing now, and I never once said that these eye holes were for Halloween, which they are. And it's not just a little excuse to post this video onto my channel months after I made it.
And they came out pretty good, if I do say so myself. So if you guys want to learn how to make the eye hole man's eye holes, then keep on watching my video because I promise you that it is worth it. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Now let's get started with the tutorial.
Okay, so first off, I started by baking and cooling a regular vanilla cake mix. I used Pillsbury, but you can use any kind you'd like. Then I went and grabbed my Betty Crocker chocolate frosting, and I mixed just a little bit into the crumbled cake so that it could become wet enough to roll it into balls. Basically, I'm making the cake pops without the stick. So now I'm gonna lay down some parchment paper so that I can start rolling my balls out. I only did a couple since it was just gonna be me and Alex eating them, but you can do as much as you like. So sadly, I didn't get a chance to record this, but I just picked up a package of instant vanilla pudding and I pre-made that and just added a couple of drops of green food coloring to it to turn it into the gooey inside. Then I just placed that pudding into a squeezable ketchup bottle or whatever kind of bottle this is, and after letting my balls refrigerate for a couple of minutes, I took them out and started inserting the bottle into it and squeezing that green gooey pudding into the inside, I guess. That's as best as I can explain it, but you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm laying down some wax paper and I am gonna get my food coloring fondant and powdered sugar ready to start messing with my fondant. I'm just taking a little piece of fondant off of the big piece and adding a couple of drops of red food coloring to it because that's going to be our base for our whole eyeball. And I'm just going to start, working the food coloring into the fondant until I get it to the color that I want it. And obviously if the fondant becomes sticky, you have to add some powdered sugar to it so that it could become a little less tackier and you can work with it better. Okay, so as I might have mentioned at the beginning, I had to improvise quite a bit during this video, and as you can see, I used a regular water bottle container for rolling out my fondant because I didn't have an actual rolling pin, and it worked out perfectly fine. Okay, so now with my X-OXO knife, I'm gonna cut a circle in the fondant, and I didn't record this part, but I'm sure I'll have another recorded piece of it in the rest of the video. But I just simply cut out a round circle with it out of the fondant, and then I placed my little ball in the middle of the fondant and just wrap the fondant around it. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's gonna be an eyeball, and as you can see, I'm just kind of doing whatever I could with it to make it seem a little bit more together. And I'm just simply repeating that step, rolling out the fondant, cutting out my little circle, placing my cake ball on the middle of it and rolling it up, basically just wrapping it up in the circle. And trimming off the tail so that it just looked a little bit more like an eyeball. Now that I'm done with the base of the cake balls, I'm gonna go ahead and grab another piece of white fondant and add a little bit of food coloring to that to turn it into a light pinkish color. And now I'm basically just working the color into the fondant. And for this part, you don't really need your X-OXO knife because you're just going to be ripping off little pieces of fondant and rolling it into a skinny little pieces, I guess. I don't know how to describe that, but you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just making sure that it's thin enough to kind of make the little opening of the eye hole. And of course, I did not record this either because I suck at doing these videos. I just grabbed a little paintbrush that I bought from Walmart and put a little bit of water inside of a cup and started dipping my paintbrush into the water and placing it onto the opening of the eye holes, just so that it could pat it down and shape it and stick it to the eye hole, because when you add water to fondant, it makes it stickier. Okay, so here I just ripped off a piece of wax paper and added a couple drops of food coloring to it, and it was red food coloring, as you can see. And I grabbed a thinner paintbrush and I started painting little veins onto my eyeball, so it looks a little bit more realistic, a little bit more ugly. I loved painting these, red veins onto my eyeballs because I felt like it gave it a lot more character, but this isn't a step that you have to take. It's not necessary, but honestly, I felt like it gave my eyeballs more character so that they didn't look like just pink balls. Okay, so now moving on to the very last part, I pulled out my refrigerated pudding and started placing it onto the eye holes, and this honestly tied the whole dessert together, and it looked exactly like the eye holes from Rick and Morty. Alright guys, there you guys have it. This was the eye holes from Rick and Morty. Hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys in my next video.
Going on?